410 meters above sea level, lies the Monastery of St. Anthony the Great. This is the oldest monastery known to history, and the birthplace of monasticism. It was established by the founder of monasticism and the spiritual father of all monks, St. Anthony the Great. The Red Sea Ranges were once called the Kalala Mountains, after Kalali, the Arabic word for monks' cells, which have always been abundant in the area. Over time, the name was changed into Galala Mountains. The fortress was built in the time of Justinian, around 537 AD, to protect monks and sacred items during attacks by nomads. The fortress is 15 meters high and can only be accessed by crossing the drawbridge. As is usual in Coptic monasteries, this fortress has a chapel named after the Archangel Michael at the top level. It is also prepared with all the necessities of life for the monks to survive in it during a siege, however long that may be. For more protection, monastery walls were built up to a considerable height, and the huge gates were rarely opened. It was only possible to enter the monastery through this tool, a winch and a wheel, which a person would be lifted up over the walls via a thick rope, passing through this narrow gate. This basket was the monks' way to feed nomads outside the walls. The St. Anthony Archaeological Church, the most ancient in the whole monastery, dates back to the time of St. Anthony and witnessed significant events during its long history. His Holiness Pope Shenouda III recently reconsecrated its altars after restoration.
القديس الأنبا أنطونيوس خين أفران بفيوت نمشير سوا بفز مرأوت نجيب نوت فيوت في بانتوكراتوت بفز مرأوت نجيب فنوغني سنشيري إيسوس بخريستوس بن شويس Efes marot in jibib nevmes uweb in paraklito.
The oldest of its many murals can be traced back to the 6th century AD. The greatest treasure of this church is the body of the acknowledged founder of monasticism, St. Anthony, which is thought to lie in a cave under the middle altar. Church walls are decorated with extraordinarily beautiful murals. most of which date back to the 13th century AD. Precisely expressive, marvelously designed, and beautifully colored, these frescoes were painted using oxides. Additionally, the church design embodies a genuine theological ideology. After the Eucharist, monks would leave the church for the agape table, where they would eat together the agape meal. Where the eldest father would stand at the pulpit to read, so that they would not be carnally minded, but spiritually minded. The priory building was used for managing monastery affairs, and it gives access to the fortress. It contains 3 churches, the largest and most ancient of which is named after St. Mary. It is simple and has a beautiful ivory inlaid iconostasis decorated with ancient icon. The sanctuary has a unique wooden dome. This is St. George's Church. It was formerly just a large room, but it has recently been renovated and established as a church. The second is the Church of St. Abanub and St. Rebecca and her children. St. Mina Church is located in the fortress building. The Apostles' Church dates back to the 15th century AD. This green paradise proves the existence of water, but where, we may ask, does the water come from in this arid desert, more than 400 meters above sea level? God, who welled up water from a hard rock for his people to drink in the desert, is the same God who welled up a spring of water in this holy place for St. Anthony to drink. The waters of his spring still flow to this very day, in evidence of God's care of his people. This building was recently built as a refectory for monks, then a lecture room was annexed to it. This is the mill house dating back to the 6th century AD, while the mill itself is traced back to the early 10th century AD. This is how monks used to grind wheat, grains, and cereals. Whenever this turns, the grinding stone also turns to grind whatever grains it may find underneath. What greatness this is that was established by our forefathers. Like fathers, like sons. The monastery had this chapel hewn in the mountain where fabulous wall carvings were made. It was a long and hard job overseen by His Grace Anba Eustace, Bishop of the monastery, whose efforts have done much to develop the monastery in our time. When the chapel was complete, he consecrated the cave a church for the Lord.
نرشم هذا المذبح الذي للصليب والقيامة المقدسة خنفران ببيوت مبشير بابن ميسوع بن توت أمين فزمرؤوت جبيوت بيوت بي بنتقراتور
From the recently hewn cave of crucifixion and resurrection to another cave that dates back to the early Christian era, one that has become an attraction for tourists worldwide. Up the mountain, more than 700 meters high above sea level, lies the cave of the first monk known in human history, St. Anthony. The chapel of St. Paul the Simple, St. Anthony's disciple, was built on the ruins of his cell that he built for himself to be close to his master. From these towers, bells ring daily at prayer times, calling monks to meet the bridegroom. Buildings of this church were completed before the mid-20th century. Wonderful paintings on its walls were made by the artist Jakub Fanus. Taphos, originally a Greek word meaning tomb. This is the graveyard of monks where their bodies are buried in peace, but their name lives forevermore. Abba Marcus Al Anthony's church was built in the 14th century. After Abba Marcus passed away, his body was buried in his cell, which later became this blessed church. It is favored by hermits who have visited it much to offer their prayers as frankincense before God. This spiritual aura of this church is based on the blessing of Abba Marcus's body buried in it. The monastery also has bodies of other saints, such as Saint Yusab, that is Joseph, Al-Abba the horse, his voice had a naturally hoarse tone, Bishop of Gerga, and Father Eustace Al-Anthony. Here is the body of Abba Marcus after whom the church was built. Now, my God, I pray, let your eyes be open, and let your ears be attentive to the prayer made in this place.